Alrighty, guys, what is going on? My name is Tubby Emu. We're talking Vince McMahon in WWE right now because they did sign a new TV deal, and there's a lot of people that are really going crazy on Twitter, Wall Street Journal, LA Times, all talking about them being less than expected, the TV deals, and the stock has dropped over 43% from their high up from about $30 a couple months ago to down to $11 now. And that story from Forbes that Vince McMahon, who just became a billionaire a few months ago because of the skyrocketing talks of the TV deals, is now lost in one day $350 million, more than any of us combined in the Tubby Nation will probably see in our lifetime. And if you do, I hope I get a cut of it. But that is just astronomical. First of all, we still have to remember he's still worth, $600 million? It's still a lot of money. Even with his $1 million salary per year, all his stock and everything is through the roof. Now, there's a lot of people that are speculating that this is bad, that WWE could sell, that, this is like the worst thing possible. But I think you have to take into consideration that the stock price went up initially because of the possibility of a super high TV deal. Now, if you look at the TV deals like NASCAR, who signed a 10-year, $8.2 billion TV deal, which is worth, $800 million a year. WWE's new TV deal is estimated around $150 million per year. Now, being $150 million per year sounds like a lot. They were previously getting for Raw, SmackDown Total Divas about $90 million from NBC. So now this is a huge increase. This is a 70% increase in rights fees. That's $150 million. But for the analysts who are expecting a lot more, it seems like, a big letdown, especially Vince McMahon owns, 70% of the WWE. So, there was an investment firm that took a stake in WWE. I'm not sure how much the stake was, and they were calling for them to potentially sell the company. Now, I'm pretty sure Vince McMahon will never sell WWE. I think he's going to go to the grave with it, or Triple H is going to wait till he dies and then make the cha-ching and give it up. But, I still think they have all the passion in the world. I don't think they're going to get rid of it, and they still have the majority and the control where, there's not much they could do with Vince McMahon owning the company. Now, a lot of people that are speculating that this is like the worst possible case scenario, I think you have to take into account that the stock price was basically artificially, inflated because of the possibility of signing a super high TV deal. And this goes to show why, the stock market and business in general is very floozy in a way. Because you had this speculation that they were going to get all this money, which then in turn, those people making those speculations possibly made shitloads of money if they sold their stock. And that's one of the things that when you go off of expectations or futures and, what possibly could happen, you saw now that it did happen how much of a financial effect it had. Vince McMahon went from being declared a billionaire again by Forbes, and now he's worth about $650 million. Like I said, still more than pretty much any of us will see in our lifetime, but still down $350 million in one day. And I think the takeaway thing from that is the speculation leading up to that, them getting an absolutely huge TV deal, along with WWE going with this new model of, the network. And if you think about how much they have, the network still isn't going to bring in nearly as much as their TV deals right now with 1 million subs. They're going to need a lot more subscribers. And one of the stories that I was reading on the LA Times, it talked about one of the big reasons that, even with their viewership being super high, they have to have some problems because they're basically like a rented audience. Now, the first time I heard this, it actually made sense to me. If you think about WWE programming, the typical WWE fan, is interested in wrestling. But think about the shows that come after, the shows that the USA uses leads in. Now, I love USA shows, so I'm watching USA anyway. But you have, this audience that are coming over, hardcore fans. How many of them are staying tuned to watch Chris Lee Knows Best? There's a lot of great USA shows from Royal Pains. Burn Notice was my favorite show on TV. Suits. They have a lot of great quality programming. But is WWE really driving people to watch it? If you think Sci-Fi on the USA Network, people go over to Sci-Fi to watch SmackDown. How many of those guys are staying, or women, kids, are staying to watch Galactica or, some other show besides Haven, which co-stars Edge? And I think that's a very big and key point that, especially with WWE kind of crapping on pay-per-view networks and going with their own network thing, I think they have the upside to be very huge. I think the network is a great distribution model. I still think it's a lot better than going to a TV network because, HBO, Showtime, all those shows, you would have basically a channel or a couple channels like HBO Showtime with Showtime Extreme and all that stuff, but the on-demand would never be able to be like, the on-demand they have on the network. And I think the strategy of going that route was a smart thing to do. However, Netflix, which has grown to 40 million subscribers now, targets so many different audiences. You have the people that, are cutting their cable to watch Netflix instead because the shows are on there. You have people that, are watching, Netflix as an alternative to not only TV, but just other media such as like Hulu. Some people use Hulu and Netflix. Some people use it to watch movies. And they have such a more diverse group of people to go after versus wrestling. How many non-wrestling fans are going to buy the network versus how many, let's say, the big thing on Netflix are movies. They can still target TV shows because they have a lot of great quality TV shows that come on. Sure, you wait a couple months or a year, but they still come on the TV versus WWE fans or wrestling fans in general. You have to be a fan of wrestling. And I think right now, one of the hard sells of the network is it is pretty much just all the old pay-per-views. I love the original shows they're coming up with. The Daniel Bryan documentary for WrestleMania was absolutely spectacular. I'm getting used to Legends House, and I do enjoy the show. Stuff like Total Divas, even though a lot of people don't like, I like it. Some people say it breaks kayfabe too much, but I like the direction they're going. The problem is, all that original content is going to cost them even more to spend, and the return of that, without the with the limited fan base, unlike Netflix is going into content distribution with House of Cards, OINTB, which I love Blog. I mean, I absolutely love Taylor Schilling. Orange is the New Black. I think it's a great show. And, they have potential to then sign new people based on the quality of their shows. But WWE is locking themselves into a network where they have to lock in wrestling fans. And I think, a huge thing for them to eventually do is distribution with other companies and then have them promote their shows on the network. I think that's really the only other viable option because I think the network will be a success. I think they've got a lot of potential, and especially for fans, it's a huge success because instead of now paying $44 a pay-per-view, you're paying $9.99 whether you watch the pay-per-view or not. And then plus the fact that it goes up on demand pretty much instantly right after, it's a win-win for WWE fans. It absolutely is. But as far as the numbers go for the WWE, if you think they bring in X amount of money per month and per year, those TV deals do seem like kind of a disappointment. So I want to get your guys' thoughts, what you think of their TV deal. They signed for a lot less. We still don't know all the details, and there's still talks about, the distribution, whether or not Raw and SmackDown would go on the WWE Network, which I think would be absolutely huge. If I was then able to watch Raw and SmackDown a day, 2 days, 3 days, whatever, after on the WWE Network, I would absolutely be okay with that, and that's something that would improve it to me, where I could then go and watch, Raw and SmackDown on there. Because, right now you have Superstars, you have Main Event on the network, you have NXT, which I love to see, but an option to rewatch it I think is great because they don't ever rebroadcast episodes of Raw or SmackDown, except on Universal HD, which is NBC's other channel, which is, for me, is on, like, channel 700, and that's, the only broadcast, and I think it's usually, an hour version of it versus the full 3-hour show. So it's not a show they rebroadcast. Other than like Hulu's got a cut down version of it. You have, but USA and I can't even talk right now. Something in my mouth. Universal and NBC don't rebroadcast the show. So I wouldn't imagine a problem with them rebroadcasting their rights. I don't know how long of a time frame they would have to wait. But I think if they add Raw and SmackDown to the network, I almost think that could backfire for USA. And I think it could become a problem, but at the same time, advertisers, still reach that targeted demographic of WWE, and they still pull in enough fans to justify pulling in $150 million. It's a $60 million increase on the price of their stock. Not on their stock, of their, licensing fees. So I think WWE is in a place where, they're going to be on the right track once the network starts to catch up. But the cost of creating those shows is going to be quite high. It's like buying a library of DVDs or, another company's wrestling footage. It's expensive at first. And there is going to be loss. That's why a lot of people, especially the capital firms, are calling on them to, make big changes in management or potentially, sell the company. But just selling it wouldn't do anything because somebody coming in like, think TNA and Dixie Carter, somebody with not a mind of wrestling taking over and running a wrestling business. Does that make sense? Think Ted Turner. It's not going to happen, guys. I want to know what you guys think. What do you think of the stock price? Where do you think it's going to go? And honestly, I think the WWE is going to be able to rebound. I think Vince McMahon and all of them are going to find a way. And JR, to quote JR's blog, they've got to do it with creating the characters, creating a reality show, reality-based show that pulls in viewers. And right now, they're not necessarily doing it. I think they've got to step up their game. And I'm getting excited. I'm enjoying the product, but they've got a long way to go. And I hate to say it, but Vince McMahon, you're no longer a billionaire, but you still have more money than I will ever see in my lifetime. So you have that going for you. So until next time, my name is Tubby, guys. Thank you very much for watching. And let me know. Stock price, did you buy WWE stock? Did you just lose a bunch of money? Or do you not really care? You're just happy that it's staying on Raw and SmackDown staying on USA and Sci-Fi. I love the fact that Raw is staying on USA. I think USA is a great home for it, and I'm all for it. Congratulations, USA. And can't wait for more cross-promotion on TV with those spots. Until next time, guys, make sure you follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/WMoo, and twitch.tv/WMoo. And we will see you all later.